Hello and welcome. We're starting a new run of Victoria 3 today. The plan is to do India slash East India Company. Starting this run technically on the 1.12.3 beta patch, which is currently on Steam, because there was a bug in 1.12.2, specifically around protectorates, and the war rolls for protectorates. Whatever reason, it's not showing here, so this is the version apparently we're starting on. Whether this is the version I think it is or not is a different question. Quick caveats before we get this run started. I don't have National Awakening, don't have Iberian Twilight, and then don't have Songs of the Homeland. I believe this is just songs. Iberian Twilight mainly affects Hispania area. National Awakening mainly affects the Balkans. We're just going to stay away from those areas for the moment. Pop into the game. Basically playing on default settings. The plan here is to play, as I just said a little bit earlier, India / the EIC. It's been a while since I've played them, and since then I've picked up the DLC associated with them, so I'm not going to say I'm an expert at playing as the nation we're going to be playing today. We're going to roll the journal entries and see if we can keep a vaguely functional country while dealing with the problems that is being the East India Company. We start off as a chartered company to Great Britain with a whole bunch of subjects and a whole lot of journal rules. That's all I have in the colonial rule. In order to ensure the security of coral holdings, these native sovereigns who still evade our rule must be brought to heel, and any hint of popular resistance crushed before it spirals out of control. Okay. So it's got a series of unique journal entries. I think that's what it's starting with here. And then default game rules here. Again, I think we're large enough that even if we weren't excluded here, that shouldn't affect us as India. So let's hop into the game and see what our starting conditions look like. Okay, so here we are as the EIC. Immediate indication, we've got some shortage in bureaucracy. Give us some tax base that we'll want to fix probably pretty quickly. We got no starting tech, but that's normal. Tech starting position, I believe we start basically on par with what the UK starts with. Meaning when we unpause, we might not necessarily have anything spreading to us right away. Do we start with a corporation? Looks like we start with a corporation. No, I start with an open corporation slot, so I could pick up a corporation pretty early on. And then the East India Company is not our company. That's the... well, it is our company. That's what our government is. But it's the company that England owns. That, of course, technically owns us. So we're affected by it. They can build in us. They can build opium plantations. And they can build, it looks like, tobacco and tea. Oh, I have no attainable country companies. Why? Because while we're a chartered company, we don't get companies. Fair enough. Okay. We would have one if we were not a company anymore. We start with the unstable Raj journal entry. Unrest is brewing in the three presidencies of the East India Company, troubled by harsh taxation regimes, increased disrespect for local customs, and territorial expansion at the expense of native princes. Indian opposition to company rule has been mounting for recent years. Where still discord can be found within the proud ranks of the native sepoy regiments, who resent any challenge to their traditional status and privilege. If the stability of any presidency is medium, 225 or less, for 100 months, India will erupt into open rebellion. Apparently this has been true for zero years, so we're not immediately at risk of the Raj becoming unstable. We'll solidify the company rule if we complete Consolidate colonial rule journal entry. The average standard of living here is 10 or higher, and 10% or less of the pops are radicals. The game start, we start with 0, so that's an important thing that we're going to have to keep that low. And the Indian uprising will occur ability of any presidency has, as it was said, be 225 or less for 100 months, or the time runs out in this journal entry. So we have a finite time period, 24 years and 8 months. If triggered, and we survive the uprising, East India Company will be reorganized into the British Raj. Imperialism promised journal entry will no longer be available. I presume that's about to pop, so we can see what that is. Adds the Sepoy Mutiny to the journal entry, which is the revolt itself. Triggers the event mutiny, where either we can resist to put it back together, or we can decide to be one of the revolters. Do we have a breakdown on what causes instability? Right now, high taxes. Okay, well, fix that. That's easy to fix. Baseline drift towards high stability. Okay. So, with the taxes down, stability should be going up. Whether or not we keep it that way, different problem. Consolidate colonial rule. The frontiers of Indian territories have proven a consistent source of risk. We are surrounded by disorderly policies under arbitrary rulers, which may threaten the integrity of our territory at any time. In order to ensure the security of our core holdings, the native sovereigns who still evade our rule must be brought to heel, and any hint of popular resistance crushed before it spirals out of control. As we expand our administration across India, we will have the opportunity to establish new princely states to add our administration. Semi-direct rule over too much land will cause a liberty desire of existing subjects to increase. So, at least 80% of eligible states worldwide must be, and it's currently 18.5%, so not enough. At least one of belongs to us, is our subject, belongs to Great Britain, or is a subject of Great Britain. And the highest Indian succession progression is less than 30% for 120 months. So that hasn't checked because we haven't played any months yet, but that's going to take 10 years to complete, and we need to keep succession below 30%. And at the time of completing this journal entry, high succession progress needs to be lower than 50%. If failed, if we are not a subject to Great Britain, or not a colony type subject, it will auto fail. Will complete it. If it completes, we get company men, which makes industrialists happier and more powerful, and relations with every princely state increases. Okay. And we need to do that in addition to improving the standard of living. Okay. What do we have law-wise evaluating our starting position? We're a colonial administration monarchy. So we've got subjecthood as an option in citizenship, and we start on subjecthood. Okay. Plan authority. Okay, so that's not a problem. We start with oligarchy. Okay, we're a company. Start with subjecthood, which, in particular, reduces the acceptance penalties for pops living in their homeland. So that's going to be fine initially. The caste system is a law group that's unlocked if you have, I think, majority territory in India. By default, we set on caste non-enforced, which is sort of the state of the laws if your country hasn't decided to decide which way it's going to lean as far as the caste system is concerned. They can move towards affirmative action, which is basically try to stop it from existing, or codify or enforce it. We probably actually want to stay away from enforcing it, because qualification growth is bad. Qualification growth reductions are bad. I believe if we fail and become the British Raj, we will get forced onto caste system codified. Notably, caste system codified raises the minimum acceptance for a bunch of the cultures. Well, it does it by social class, but basically the middle class and the upper class will be accepted I think one will be second class, and the other one will be guaranteed to be middle, or what's it called? Province society. Okay. So by default, it's violent hostility, cultural erasure, open prejudice, second class, and full acceptance. If we're on caste codified, it's guaranteed to be the third or the second one for the middle class and the upper class, respectively. And really, we don't want to go into enforced. We start here on caste system, not enforced, which basically gives us the bonus acceptance only for the Brahmas. And affirmative action kind of pisses off whoever is fully accepted. The benefit of making everyone else have more education access and more accepted. So for the moment, I think we're fine on caste not enforced. We may be coerced or may have to sort of trade off to get something else passed to get on the caste codified. Total separation's fine, because otherwise we'd be converting the Hindus and Buddhists to Protestant. 20 bureaucrats is fine, Partial Army's fine. At some point we might want to move on to something like Home Guard or Secret Police, but right now we don't have the bureaucracy for that. We start an extraction economy. We probably want to get off of extraction economy. Who supports extraction economy? The current government does. Okay. So that's going to make that hard. What about the current government? We've got Malthusian, Colonialist, Enclavist, Malthusians, and Jingoist for the East Indian Company. So that means they're going to basically oppose everything moving off of extraction economy, which is a little bit of a problem. Although they won't necessarily be that much of an opposition to move to agrarianism or individualism. So we may be able to trade off, at least onto agrarianism, which would probably be okay early on. I prefer free trade. We might be on free trade. I'll double check in a moment. We want colonial exploitation. There's no resistance to that. I might pass that. No workers' rights. Okay, we'll accept that. That's the status quo for the moment. They would support us moving to commercialized agriculture. We probably don't start on that. We probably start on like tenant farming or serfdom. Let's check. We start on tenant farming. Okay. There's maybe an argument we want to get off of tenant farming, but... And to be fair, they probably wouldn't be too opposed to moving one step backwards. If we were moving to homesteading, they'd probably tolerate that if we had enough powerful enough movement to do it. Enclavist, so they're going to want to stay on oligarchy, although they wouldn't necessarily be too aggrieved to move to technocracy. Governance principles, they like monarchy. That actually allows us to go to monarchy. Oh no, colonial administration, because we're subject is the monarchy here. Fair enough. They want us to stay on that. National supremacy, racial segregation, subject to it. Okay, so they're not supporting us moving away from where we are. Although they would prefer basically the sort of the more conservative ones if we were to move away from where we are. They would support moving to dedicated police, which we want to do, and they're happy being unappointed, which I think is what we're on. Yeah. So at some point they want to get dedicated police, and our groups are opposed to it. At some point we want to get on to probably some sort of colony law. We do have some frontier stuff we'd want to colonize. In fact, we might just take frontier colonization because there's no opposition to it. And then we're Malthusian, so they're going to support poor laws, prefer private over none. So we're actually going to have trouble trying to get good healthcare right at the beginning. They're going to support private schools. Again, it's better than no schools. Maybe not what we want right at the beginning. Although they're not necessarily going to be opposed from... Because we're currently, I think, on no schools, right? So if we can move to any other schooling system, they won't be opposed. Right, we're having opposition, specifically in this case, out of the Hindu priests. Right, but if we were trying to say swing straight into public school, the Hindu priests aren't going to be too much of a problem. The problem is we got no one that supports it in the current government. Civil servants would. They support non-migration control, which is all we want. They prefer per capita, which I think what we started on. They would be in support of codifying or enforcing the caste system, which we'd prefer to avoid. Jingoist, loyalist, patriotic. Okay, so the military has nothing really special to it. Although I think conscriptible battalions training rate is special. And Renata is also probably a bit special. Responsible government, so we get enactment time down if we can get the government to actually be happy. Extra qualifications. Signed and stamped, so we got bureaucracy there. Wounded honor. Okay, so we don't want them to get completely pissed because then we'll have more mortality for turmoil. And that, I think that might be per 1% of turmoil, so that might be a lot of mortality. And divided ranks. Okay, so morale loss, morale recovery. Pretty standard stuff. If we wanted to stabilize the government, we could bring the Hindu priests in, which would stabilize it. We could also bring in the rural folk to do it as well. Now it would allow us to sort of swing towards religious or charity hospitals if we didn't want private schools. Legal guardianship. Support for monarchy, total separation, Hindu bureaucrats, or no, hereditary bureaucrats. So this is kind of the opposite direction of what we want. It's not really... Like, we'd bring it in if we needed to bring in the rural folk, which we may want to do, right? That would be one way for us to get onto agrarianism off of extraction economy, get us off of tenant farmers into homesteading. So we might be thinking about doing that early on with our laws, because we've got the current government, which is 59%. We only see the best 3 options here. So we can bring Hindu priests in, which by themselves we wouldn't want to do. We could kick the military out, and in fact, oh, well, the military is actually making the government stronger. Although maybe not stronger than bringing other things in. And then we could kick the military out and bring those 2 in, and then get us stronger still. But then this would be so we can do laws associated with the rural folk, really. Notably fairly strong looks to be these guys. Does that work? Why is that opposed? It's 50 from company rule. Okay. Which is a timed modifier. And then some ideological incompatibilities here, specifically on economic system and government principles. Okay. They're the pro-slavery faction. So if we try to move away from slavery, they're going to get angry. Okay, we don't need to fix those right away. I think we're on professional army to start with, yeah. So we don't necessarily need to move against them on hierarchy for the peasant levies. Although we could maybe appease them by moving towards peasant levies. We'd be moving against them on homesteading. They'd actually be pretty angry if we moved against homesteading. Okay, we're on oligarchy, not autocracy. Yes. So if we wanted to say move to landed voting, we could pull these guys in to do a landed voting pass. And again, they'd support agrarianism. If we were to do... Yeah, okay. There's no combination where we don't have... we have both of these in a stable government. Currently start with indefinite company rule, which is lowering our legitimacy, but giving legitimacy from including the head of state in government. Head of state, obviously, is the EIC is the industrialists, at least for now. So we're basically coerced into keeping the industrialists in government, and parties that won't get along with them are bad. Industrialists are 200% stronger. Aristocrats are weakened. Bureaucrats, capitalists, and officers are empowered. Okay. And we've been spending 20 minutes just evaluating the company. We haven't done anything else. 20 minutes. So yeah. We need to keep this guy. We need to keep this faction in power. We've got options on other factions, right? Okay. So yeah, our choices appear to be this government plus the Hindu priesthood, and then Hindu priesthood without the military, or the rural folk, the Hindus, and East India Company itself. Those are going to be our four sort of stable governments. What law changes could I do now that I would want to do? We're on legal guardianship. Yeah, it's not going to fly. When it comes time to fix the standard of living, we may try to pass poor laws. That would probably be a way to do that. Run migration controls. We'd like to be on no migration controls. There is quite a bit of stall. Although I wouldn't be surprised if we're not going to be able to overcome that stall. We're on debt slavery. Okay. We do want to move off of that at some point. Slavery is frequently a thing that will induce civil wars if you need to move against it. Although in this case it would only be the landowners who are not in government who would get miffed. Although they probably would get pretty miffed. We may evaluate doing that. I think we're going to do our military conquest before we try doing that. Vision controls. No option on healthcare. Is that because we don't have pharmaceuticals yet? Fair enough. We would actually have some reasonable support to pushing to public. We could bring the church would actually support that. That's good to remember. Public versus private. Only the civil servants are in support of public. I suppose I could do private if we were just wanting that education. Yeah, there's maybe an argument to go frontier right from Ready, Set, Go. So we can start colonizing. And then we do want to get off construction economy like right away. Private construction allocation, that's fine. Throughput on the farms, extraction, plantations, that's fine. Nationalized investment return is fine. We're not able to deal with that compensation, that's fine. It's this and down, that's a problem. Economic independence, that's bad, we don't want that. We don't want investment pull from the aristocrat. Efficiency down. Efficiency downs are bad. We don't want efficiencies down, so all those are just bad. The problem we're going to run into is that apparently no one supports getting off of it. Yeah, so our best bet is probably... Oh, I could lower the taxes more. That's one option. Because interventionism wouldn't be too bad. I definitely support moving to interventionism. And if I lower the taxes, I can make a stable government with the landowners. And the landowners would heavily support that. 24%. Yeah. I think that might be what we're going to do. And that takes advantage of the fact that we're basically not spending any money right now. Okay. and we can try to negotiate with them to get them on board. Public concessions that empower the military. Raise the standard of living within years. How many, please, game? Soon, like 5 or something. Because if it's just raised by 1, yeah, we kind of need to try doing that anyway. I'd be on board with trying. Yeah, because we've already got to get up to 10 anyway, so 10.6 isn't too much of a stretch. That's otherwise really hard to do. Although I think the answer here is definitely political. That one. That's the option. Yeah, currently there's no sole chance. That's because our current people that really, really like extraction economy... Oh no, they should actually be opposed to this. I'm surprised they're not grumpier. Oh, they were... Okay, they were -3. They're only -3. Okay. I'd be surprised. Does low taxes actually make them more stable? It does. Okay. Okay. That works there. Laws. What do we want to do? Laws. I think to get independence, we need pan-nationalism. I don't think we need to rush to pan-nationalism, but that's the thing to remember, is that we're going to need to go pan-nationalism. If we want healthcare, and we probably do want public healthcare to improve that standard of living, that's pharmaceuticals. There's an argument to go with pharmaceuticals off the bat. Other option... steel's going to be too far to run for. Oh, central archives for the bureaucracy. Yeah, central archives, pharmaceuticals. At which point we'll do sewers. We'll reevaluate that point. Okay. We got... Do you not have a dock? You don't have a dock. Okay. Have a port. That'll fix that problem. What else do I want to hit? We're gonna have to start invading people. I might wait until we're off of extraction economy so we've got more investment. Okay, right now we're using all the constructions. Let's let some time pass. 27 minutes into the video, and particularly on a short stream, and we've finally unpause. Okay, so we do have some stall coming from the East India Company itself. We could negotiate with them. Oh, yeah. You can have that for political concessions. There you go. Purveyor of progress. Construct a grand railway to connect India. Railways for prosperity. Bombay gets great connections. Migration detection. Railway building throughput. Okay. Those regions have a railway. Those regions have a railway. Interesting journal entry. Not something we need to rush for. Hyperbad has long known it has properly enforced its rule in Berar. Even the province prone to banditry and general lawlessness, the Interior Office advises that we assume direct control of Berar in exchange for annual payments made to its current ruler. Any state in Hyperbad, terminal is greater than a certain amount, or date is greater than a certain amount. So 14 years in, or Liberty Desire is less than a certain amount. Within the administration of a particular location. So that's a decision. That'll pop up in human rights. We haven't got the utilitarian leader yet, although that will pop up at some point. Hopefully don't have any famines, although that probably will happen at some point. I am not the best. Yeah, let's get interventionalism out of the way. With the current construction we've got 8.54 thousand money. So I should probably upscale construction. Can probably afford 3 construction centers. Do we already have some unemployed? I would not be surprised if that's the case. That's concerning. 600,000 unemployed. Well, that's not in us. Let's not worry about foreign countries or not. Or is that in us? It is in us. Okay. Well, we're going to do what we can to deal with that unemployment. Of course, we need that port first, so that place is connected to the market properly. But yeah, with no stall chance, this should be fairly easy to pass. Because it's mostly success in advance with a very small amount of debate. Getting this passed will improve the amount that the private sector is contributing to construction, or capacity for them to contribute to construction. At which point we'll probably move back to one of the other more stable governments, probably the one with rural folk and such in it. And what do we got movement-wise? We got pro-slavery movement, which we probably don't want to empower. We got a utilitarian movement, which will help us pass things like compulsory schooling and public school, women's suffrage. Will help us get off of slavery, maybe. Get on slightly better tax systems, although right now not better for us. Yeah, they would support us getting off of the thing. So this question, we don't want to benefit that one. I don't see a peasants movement yet. We would probably be tempted to support the peasants movement, although we might not get it because we're not in serfdom. And then probably suppress them. Okay, I'm not going to spend feudal power buffing or suppressing those right now. Speed up the time. So we can roll through interventionalism here. We'll probably start picking fights the moment we're done with interventionalism. But yeah, we got some uncolonized stuff in here. I suppose the question is, actually, I want to see the territory, please. Do we have claims on these, or do other people have claims on them? So the answer there is no. It's not on that one. Some of these we have claims on, some of them no one has claims on. Okay. So it looks like either we have claims or no one has claims, and that works out for me. That basically keeps everyone out that we don't want in. They're petitioning government to pass a local police force. I'm going to offer them dedicated police. We don't want local police force because that's going to empower the landowners. And honestly, we don't want the landowners being more powerful. Right, we've got this sort of unholy agreement with them right now to get something passed, and then we want to weaken them, not strengthen them. So that wasn't what I wanted to do next, but I can do that next. This is the Opium War. England's got this. We don't need to come join them. And if England doesn't have this, then, well, they can get bent. Even though they're technically fighting the opium war for us, specifically because we are an opium producer and they want us, well, our upper class want to be able to export opium. There's the war breaking out. I think it's this guy's chance. Just so we have a higher percent chance that it completes in the next one. 40% chance to complete. And I think a Twitch hitter said "yoi" or "yo" in chat. So I hope you're enjoying the run as it is. There we go. So there's interventionalism. Kala Panin. Panini? Due to proscriptions in the Hindu faith amongst crossing seas, soldiers have been allowed an exemption from overseas service in the past. Some administrators now argue that this exemption should be removed. Indian relation. Is that us, or is that our... Yes. Okay, so our relations with them would go down, and our military would be less happy. Or... Oh, it's necessary to account for these local traditions. So the army would not be happy. Otherwise, we end up with a bunch of radicals, and presidential stability will decrease. I can tolerate the army being slightly grumpy. What we will do is we'll pay the army more. And then when they take that -2, that's only for 5 years. They'll still say, that said -2 game. Okay, well, the game's gonna troll me like that. Then we'll drop the taxes in neutral. It moved it by 4 instead of 2, for whatever reason. Must have had like a bonus or something that went away when that clicked. Suspected proselytism. The presence of Protestant clergymen has caused some locals to suspect the East India Company is planning to attempt to convert the people to Christianity. So we can get promised no proselytization, so minus 100% conversion. Some percent of the Protestants become radical. Promise no missionaries, or if they're there to promote their faith, they may do so. Sunnis get radical, Protestants get happy, and stability would go down. The only problem is we have a separation of church and state. I don't need them to convert. I don't want them to convert. That can't be farther from the truth. The Protestants will get radical, but we don't have very many Protestants to start with. At least I don't think we do. Oh, I should be paused, because it's time to adjust to what we're planning on doing. So we've got a call specifically to move to dedicated, please. Oh, and the current government supports that, so I'm not going to kick the landowners out of government yet. We could even negotiate to get rid of the stall chance. It's only a 4% stall chance, so I'm not going to bother right now. And we've got a pretty stable government, or stable Raj at the moment. I don't think we're earning enough that I can raise the taxes. No, we are learning enough that I can raise the taxes. Okay. One of the differences here with the EIC is we have a different class system. So the Brahmas, which are the upper class, because of us being, if I can find the law, because of us being on caste not enforced, the Brahma class is minimum of 80. So the Brahmas are everyone who's an academic, bureaucrat, or clergyman. So those three all have full acceptance. And this is special. I think this is only special for the Hindu religion pops. Oh no, I think it applies to the entire country. Okay. It only activates if we have pops who are Hindu and has, or is this only affecting? This might only be affecting a portion of our population. This is affecting 80 million. Okay, so we got like 30 million either not Hindu or not South Asian pops. So the pops this is affecting, right? So the Brahmas are guaranteed to be 80, which I think is bringing them into second class. Might be, oh, actually that's enough to bring them full acceptance. Okay. We then have slightly different middle class. Notably, for most other nations, the capitalists and the aristocrats are upper class. For us, they're actually middle class. And then a bunch of other pops that are often normally middle class anywhere in the middle class. Notably, I think it might be... No, I think it's machinists. Machinists, I think, are always lower class. So, specifically, we've got academics and bureaucrats and clergy brought from the middle class to the upper class, and then what normally would be in the upper class has been moved to the middle class. That does affect their expected standard of living. So, in our case, our aristocrats and our capitalists actually don't expect to have a particularly high standard of living, although they're also middle class, so they're going to be penalized in that way. And I think we're also about ready to start subjugating more peoples. Do we start with Sind? Probably start with the three small... Actually, those ones want to wait until we're done with the whole China war shinabigig. Your protectorate under us already? Yes. Subject type, we got one protectorate and it's them. By Liberty Desire, everyone's reasonably low. Okay. I'm gonna take the hit on everyone. Change them into a puppet as well. Oh, and they're all exempt from service, so they just can't show up to fight. Fair enough. Also helping keep them happy. And then with our overlord, I suppose I could request support, and they might even accept. Help stabilize us, lower Liberty Desire. We're not really looking for... Yeah, I think we want to press that button. Might even... Oh, they want to accept that one. We'll accept this one. We'll ask them for this. We'll see if they grant it. And they do. Okay. So now I could raise taxes. We're not going to, but I could get away with raising taxes at this point because we're at 70s. I'm going to be happy in normal taxes. Yeah, I think it's time to start expanding. Sind is probably the first place we're going to go. Oh, we have a native Indian interest group which is helping the stabilize it. That's good to know. And yeah, we have the Sind over here. I think we'll make them our first target. Well, that's an interesting question. Can I actually get to them? I could do enforced military access. Probably actually want to do that on these guys. That would give us the military access when you get descent. Okay. If I went with Make Protectorate, would anyone come to help them? No. We could bring Great Britain to help us. Although I don't think I need that, per se. Let's get started. Do we have a border by chance? No. I should have one that's a bit grumpy with us. Is it in this list? Yeah, there. They do start on exempt from service. What would be the penalty if I remove that? I don't necessarily want. I just want to enforce military access. We'll wait until we're close to the end of the war prep here. Spin up. So we want the new protectorate. Often you would, in older patches, you'd go ahead and put some sort of monetary treaty on here, so you can generate more revenue. This actually wouldn't be too bad. Only 3.6 infamy. I'd accept that. Okay, let's tag that on as well. They have... how many troops? Don't want to overmobilize. They got... like 33. We'll raise the Madras army. Should leave us outnumbering them enough. And yeah, we'll piss off the one that already kind of dislikes us. So we can get our access. And then I should be sending around the diplomats to improve relations with all my subjects. Been forgetting to do that. I suppose as a subject, can I rival people? I can't. Portugal, Denmark, Dutch East Indies, we're gonna just rival all of them. Or the diplomacy? Spend that improving relations with our subjects. And that just gives you an idea of how many subjects we have. And yeah, looks like that should pass. I don't need to intervene in it. Although we're going to need more government bureaucracy when that does. So I should start queuing that up. Government administration. This probably wants to be places where we've got high unemployment, where we also have actually expanded the government administration too. So Agara maybe makes sense to do later, but not now. Let's do like 10 levels there. And we only have like 1,000 employed there, so we'll do like 1 there. And then yeah, maybe we might do Agara next. After that, we'll see. Where did my... I'm at war? Or did they back down? They backed down. We didn't even have a fight, they backed down. Okay, That works for me. That works for me. The rest of them share a border with China, so we want the war with China to finish first. Before we start fighting for the rest of them. But we got Jammu and Kalasa Raj up here that we want to hit. Got Nepal, Sikkim, and Bhutan. We got Burma. And we probably want to make protectorates out of all of them, one after another. But because that would result in a scenario where we might have a border with China, we don't want to do that mid-China war. Okay, there's dedicated police. Yeah, I think it's time... Unless this government support... No. Okay, so I'm at the point where I don't need the landowners and government anymore. Got everything we want from them. Yeah, I think we got everything we want from them. Can I do that, but plus the military? We could do that. That would work. The question is, do I really need the military? I think the Hindu, if I take the Hindu priests out, it's going to make this... Oh, okay. It's big enough government at that point that Hindu priests aren't really changing very much. Yeah, we'll roll that government. Okay, and then here, that allows us to do a swing towards frontier colonization real quick. No opposition. This allows us to start colonizing the the decentralized areas nearby. Limited by law to states connected to the capital state, or very limited sea path. So the areas we want to colonize right off the bat are all meet that requirement. Government petition complete. Okay. Okay, and that's over. Do you want to start with the small states? Or do you want to hit Burma next? I think Burma is only going to get worse if I procrastinate in Burma. Burma also has a subject, so let's protectorate Burma. Again, if we need to, we can bring Great Britain into this. Burma has a slightly larger army, but I think we can handle that. Anyway, this is working towards trying to consolidate colonial rule. I'm pretty sure I know which states those are, which is basically Burma, those areas. As we can imagine, check the states, right? So, Punjab Hills. Punjab. That's Punjab Hills, yeah. Sindh, which controls Sindh. Well, Sindh controls Sindh. Pashutanya. I think it's just those two that control bits of Pashutanya. So that's the split there. That's maybe one of the ones we won't worry too much about. Quetta. Is that Quetta? No, that's Kashmir. Which is a different one that we'll need. Shah, Mandalay, Pegu. Bhutan. It's split. You're part of Eastern Himalayas. Okay. Eastern Himalayas. And your Western Himalayas. Do I need the Himalayas? That's maybe actually a good question. Oh, I don't need the Himalayas anymore. So I actually don't care about those three. Punjab, Punjab Hill, Sindh, Pushtania, Quetta, Kashmir, Baluchistan, Mandalay, Sagain, Shah, Pegu. So all of Shah, Saigon, Mandalay, Pegu. And then I suspect... Okay. Yeah, let's get back to waging this war. Again, we've got a pretty good likelihood of success here, so I don't think we need to deploy more troops. So, government-wise, I do need to be expanding the bureaucracy. And Burma actually just backs down on us, okay. I need to let some infamy come down before I invade the Lhasa Raj. Although we are making pretty good progress. We're up to 42.3% of those eligible states being our subject. Okay. Vassalization to vassalization 2. I think that's actually just giving more of us more authority. It also gives UK more authority, but it gives us more authority too. I don't need this much authority. I need to convert it to something productive. Okay, we do have the peasant movement. Do I want to empower the peasant movement? The reason to do that would be to get on to homesteading. Although maybe I don't need to empower them. We may want to do the utilitarian movement. Although we do have to be careful because the utilitarians in government, I believe, destabilize the country. Instability from, well, stability from low liberty desire. I think one of them probably has a high liberty desire. No, just turmoil in one of the Bengal provinces. Okay. That may potentially become a problem in the future. Be aware of that. So I think let's suppress the pro-slavery movement. What's your opinion on slavery? You don't have an opinion. We're on land-based? We are on land-based. So there's probably reasonable support for getting off of it. Although getting off of it right now would hit the treasury. Again, I still don't need that much authority. Okay, let's spend some of this on decrees. We're gonna probably do a lot of west and east and Agara. And the support line, let's do mobility or social mobility in those places as well. Okay. That'll slow the laws down because I've spent a little bit more authority than maybe I should. I want to back off a little bit. The social mobility is probably what I'm going to back off on if I'm going to back something off. Yeah, that's probably about right. We're going to match 23% of the time. I'll also pass laws faster, but we don't necessarily need to over-invest in that. What's the current opinion of 20? I can take the hit then. transfrontier colonization. That definitely means we need more bureaucracy. But state-wise, colony-wise, let's get the colonies going. Which I think this is also going to be helping us. So that's Mandalay. I think Mandalay is one of them. Yeah. Asan. And then Khan. Mandalay. Oh no. Okay, so Mandalay will, but the rest won't. Punjab Hill, Sindh, Pashutanya, Quetta, Baluchistan. Okay, so this is mostly actually pushing me west. This is pushing me off into this area. Because I know that's Baluchistan. Maybe it's only pushing me to Baluchistan, okay. Oh, and there's Quetta. Most of I think what we need is west. We get to ignore north for the moment, so no Skim, no western Himalayas, no eastern Himalayas, basically. I think we've got what we want in the east. We do need to bring Burma to protectorate level so that Shah becomes our subject. Okay. Tax revenue-wise, I need more construction. And then from unemployment, we might as well put it in Agara. Let's actually go up to 6 more there. Because I think the private queue is going to eat half the construction, which is fine. That's what we want them to do. Donation of knowledge, we'll definitely accept. Wonderful idea. Okay, back to improving the bureaucracy, which we do need to do. Is there any other laws I want to pass? Well, healthcare when we have pharmaceuticals. No schooling to public schooling. Although that means I need the civil servants in the government. Although that's... I suppose I could do private schooling. It wouldn't be exactly the ideal way to go, but we could probably do that. Swing that. One combination acts, but that's... It's better than guild system. Although we got a lot of people, so maybe the qualifications down wouldn't be too bad. I think it's... Is it serfdom? That's the wrong law. I think serfdom has some guaranteed minimum subsistence. Minimum subsistence error of incorporated states is 75%. Yeah. 75% is quite a bit. That's self-investment chance. Okay. Anyway, probably want to get off of debt slavery, but we're not in a good position to push that right now. Looking at the time, I think this is a good place to put the first part break in. We've begun colonization. We've gone on to interventionalism, which is going to help. We've protectorated Burma and Sindh. Burma is the first one we probably want to get turned into a protectorate, or moved from protectorate to puppet status. So that means that'll make the Federated Shah States a protectorate. We need to come over and basically do the same over here, where we need to make these guys a protectorate so that we can turn them into a puppet, so that we get their puppet, or get their vassal. Well, otherwise a little bit else in the west. We need to get into Baluchistan and Quetta. Because we basically want to get the consolidated colonial rule done. As soon as we're done with the consolidated colonial rule, we're looking at the standard of living, quality of life stuff. In the meantime, while we're waiting for infamy, I think we're lowering well, while we're waiting for the infamy to come down, we're building up the bureaucracy. We got a desire for bureaucracy. We got the basic and the colonial, we got the basic and law enforcement. We're gonna end up probably with healthcare soon. Public healthcare will be pretty nice. We can easily get like one more standard of living from there. But that's where we are. So if you're watching on YouTube, there'll be another part up tomorrow. If you're watching on Twitch, this is going to be a short stream, but we do have 1 more hour of the stream to go. I'm going to take a short break between the 2 parts here. And until the next part, I wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part, and bye for now.